What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream, and it was not a good evening for Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United, as you know, they left Europe real quick. It was like Brexit, people, how quick they came out of Europe. They didn't even grab Thursday night football. They just left everything, and they go to Anfield this weekend. Yeah, good luck with that one. Da, 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 da. Old Trafford is falling down. Da, 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 da. I'll leave it there, people. I've said enough already. They dismissed Ronaldo. And that's what happens, people. You got to look after the legends. But anyway, we're going to concentrate on Arsenal and, a bit of a snooze fest from last night. We're just going to go over it briefly and, do the player ratings and so on and so forth, and then get out of it. There you go. Old Trafford is falling down. Big up Abdul Ghaffar said it's his 43rd birthday today. Happy birthday to you, bro. Hope you have a great day. Sold out their greatest ever player for a Carling Cup. There you go, people. Big up E-Ross, English Tax Ross. Big up Latte as well. Big up everyone in the chat. Hope you're well. We're going to go over last night's game. I'd rather not, to be honest, but we will do quickly. No Eddie green screen. Come on, let's, calm. Good finish, Eddie, but yeah, long way to go, my friend. But yeah, the game last night, Arsenal obviously drew 1-1. It was a bit of a snore fest. I spent most of the stream talking about hip-hop and all other things that we were talking about. I think in the end, a draw was a fair result. We didn't really deserve to win. I think they were the slightly better team in terms of chances created. I think the biggest thing that it told Arsenal fans, that we knew anyway, was that our squad depth is not very good, people. I think most Arsenal fans knew that anyway. But, I'm looking at some of them players in the team. I'm thinking, if we get injuries in certain positions, we have got problems. We've got problems. This club need to go into the transfer market in January. I don't care about FFP. And I know that sounds naive to just say I don't care about FFP. You've got to be creative. Chelsea showed there's ways around FFP. They were giving out 8-year contracts to spread wages. Go and get somebody on loan with an obligation to buy in the summer, and the money comes out of the summer money. Sell somebody for a decent amount of money. Get creative. We need, I think, at least 2 players in that January transfer window. Our team is good. Our squad is not good enough to win the Premier League or the Champions League, in my opinion. Of course, yeah, we're missing Partey. We're missing Timber. We've been missing Smith Rowe. Tomiyasu's out. That's 4 important players. And if you can get some of them back and maybe get 1 or 2 in the window, we're in a much better position. But I just don't think we're quite good enough in certain parts of the squad, and the window needs to be attacked. Not like last year, people. I spent a lot of time arguing about last January, saying it was not good enough. People online were justifying it. And in the end, it wasn't good enough. And if you look at the 3 players we signed last January, Trossard is not having a great run of form at the moment. Jorginho is Jorginho. It's middle of the road. It's average. And Kivior at left back is an absolute myth. So as far as I'm concerned, that January transfer window was well below par. But anyway, let's talk about last night's game. I'm sorry that we have to. It's going to be brief. I'm not going to drag it out. One major positive for me last night, and it's this guy, Reiss Nelson. I thought he was a bright spot yesterday. I really did. I don't understand why we gave this guy £100,000 a week for 4 years if you don't trust him. It's like, it just makes no sense. It was probably English quota, to be honest. Sometimes it's cheaper to just keep an English player than go and buy an English player. You've seen how expensive they are, but I think he's got to trust him at times, man. He's got something about him. I'm not saying he's the answer. I'd still like to see Arsenal go and buy a right winger to go and challenge Saka. But this guy's lively. He's got pace. Develop him. He ain't going to develop if he don't play. You might as well loan him out. Just wanted to bring up these stats. Reiss Nelson, 69 touches, 12 duels won, the most on the pitch. 8 times he won possession, 5 take-ons, which was the joint most in the game. 4 tackles made, the joint most, the most on the pitch. 3 touches in the opposition box. 2 chances created, 1 assist. Positive game for him. I think he's a decent player. he hasn't had enough game time in his career really to develop. One thing I like about Reece, he's quick and he's direct, and I don't think we have a lot of it. You know, people saying it's cheaper to keep her. You know, it goes sometimes, isn't it? You know, that single life can get expensive. You're going out clubbing every week. You got to get fresh clothes every week. You know, sometimes it's easier. So yeah, I think that's what Arsenal are doing. But I thought, I'm going to say it now. I thought Reece Nelson was man of the match last night. I got to be honest. He doesn't play often for Arsenal. He plays on the right. He's got Cedric the Entertainer behind him at right back, and I thought he had a decent game. He got an assist. He was direct. Give the boy some game time. But it is what it is. Getting man of the match in that game means very little. Possibly the goalkeeper as well, I thought had a very good game. A couple of things I want to look at. Make sure you hit the like button on entry, people. And subscribe as well. Now, we know a few of the groups have been taken care of now. Just looking ahead, the Champions League draw is on Monday around midday. I will be doing a live watch along for that. So make sure you tune in for that one. That is going to be a huge draw for Arsenal. Now, obviously, Man United finished bottom of the group. Man United, by the way, 15 goals conceded in 6 games in that group. That group should have been a walkover, like them and Bayern Munich. But hey, I need to stop. Man United fans, you're going through a tough time right now. They're out of Europe completely. But anyway, United are out. Copenhagen. I think we'd all take Copenhagen in the next round. No disrespect. I think we would be able to take care of them. Obviously, PSV went through. We can't get them. They're in our group. Napoli advanced in second. That would be a tough game. I don't care what anybody says. I think Napoli away is a cauldron. And Kvara and Osimhen and players like that, I wouldn't ideally want to get Napoli. Inter Milan came second. They drew. Sociedad won the group. Kieran Tierney and Zubamendi. Alexis Sanchez reunion. Latoro. Listen, they were Champions League finalists last year. In an ideal world, I wouldn't want Inter Milan either, if I'm being totally honest. I'm not afraid of them, but I'd rather play somebody else. This group will be finished tonight. Lazio against Atletico. If Atletico comes second, I wouldn't really want to play them. Again, not afraid of them, but a lot of pedigree there. They've scored 15 goals in 5 games. Obviously, the Newcastle group, anything can happen. It could be Milan, it could be Newcastle, it could be Dortmund. And obviously, we can't get Newcastle and Leipzig in Group G, and then Porto or Shakhtar in Group H. So for me, I wouldn't mind a Shakhtar. I wouldn't mind Leipzig. I wouldn't mind Copenhagen. I wouldn't mind AC Milan. I wouldn't be afraid of Lazio. You know, I think we can beat a lot of the teams. But in an ideal world, I would rather not play Napoli or Atletico Madrid or a PSG. I know a lot of people saying they don't rate PSG, but they've got players in their team that if they're on form are going to cause problems. So, and I agree, we're not ducking anybody. Of course we're not. But you look at the route that Inter and AC got to that semi-final last year. They just quietly went under the radar. They got a nice draw. Before you knew what was going off, you're like, hold on, AC Milan and Inter Milan are in the semi-final. I would much rather go that route than we're beating PSG, then we get Bayern Munich, then we get Real Madrid. Right, we should be back. Apologies, people. Why did it just randomly go on mute? Maybe it had enough of me saying I wanted an easier draw. Should be back now. Should be back. Apologies on that one. Right, we'll go over last night's game, people. We'll go over last night's game. I wish we didn't have to, but we'll keep it brief. Arsenal against PSV, 1-1. Eddie Nketiah with his first ever Champions League goal. His first away goal in 21 games, apparently. So, you know, prolific as ever. But, nah, listen, great moment for him. As a young player growing up, you score in the Champions League. It's a big moment. 17 shots on goal for PSV, 6 on target, 12 shots, 3 on target for Arsenal. 59% possession. Let's go into the player ratings, people. Let's go into the player ratings. Let's start with Aaron Ramsdale. I promise I'm not going to talk about the goalkeeping situation for too long. People get triggered about it, but I thought he had a good game last night, Aaron Ramsdale. I thought, the goal, he couldn't do anything. It's a great finish. Makes a fantastic save in the second half. Deflection, tips it onto the post. 7 out of 10 for Aaron Ramsdale. Thought he did well. My question is always, is David Raya better than him? That's my question. That's all I'm asking. And I've said before and I've said again, I'm not the biggest Aaron Ramsdale fan. I'm not. But is David Raya better than Aaron Ramsdale? At the moment, I don't think he is. But I'm not going to talk about it for too long. Ant says, here we go. But I think both of them are all right. I don't think any of them are that good. De Gea is available on a free. We ain't going to go near him. He could end up at Newcastle. Southern Goon, I hope you're well, Matt. He said, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. It's time to fry fish. The game showed how lackluster our bench is for the long haul. Need to tighten up. I mean, you'd think after spending 700 million, we'd have a better bench than that. But it is what it is, man. If we get injuries in major areas, we're in trouble. That's for sure. How about Oblak? I'd love to sign Oblak. Brilliant goalkeeper. I know he's 30, 31, but I'd take him. Raya needs less criticism from the fans. He'll be better. But saying he'll be better is not factual, is it, Sylvan? And in football, unfortunately, facts outdo opinions. That's the reality of the situation. I can sit here and go, just stick by Raya, he'll do better. What if he don't do better? You know what I mean? What if he doesn't do better? Is he doing better at the moment? Listen, we're not going to talk about it for too long. I've said enough. I thought Ramsdale had a good game last night. He deserved that. Helped us get in the Champions League. Hasn't had a kick. I said the other day, this is my harshest reality of the whole situation. I've got no problem with replacing both of them goalkeepers. I'm going to be totally honest. You go and get me Oblak or someone like that, you can sell both of them. I just don't see Arsenal spending that type of money on a keeper. But we'll see. David Raya is going to be the number one. Let's hope he develops and becomes what we need. Let's go to the right back, Cedric. I've called him Cedric the Entertainer. I mean, he was okay last night. It was all right. He gets a pre-assist. He also gets caught out of position massively for the goal. He was okay on the ball. I won't blame him too much for the goal because I'm wondering, was he encouraged to go that high up the pitch by the manager? I'm going to give him a 6. I saw him at the petrol station. He was a cool guy. He's bang average. And the reality is, listen, I'm trying to be kind here, to be honest, but the harshness of me, I think it's having Caribbean parents. It's just like, you've just got to say exactly what you're thinking. You've just got to sell him in. You got to sell him. He shouldn't still be at the club. Let me just say it as it is. He went on loan to Fulham. They didn't even want to sign him. They sent him back. It's like the free 14-day trial on Amazon, and you cancel it on the 13th day because you don't want them to take money out of your bank every month. You just wanted to watch something during them 13 days. Like, my worry is this: if Ben White gets injured, Cedric plays at right back. If you're going to Tottenham against Son, he's getting dealt with. If you're going to City against Doku, it's Cedric the Entertainer. He's getting ripped apart. If you get Real Madrid in the Champions League and Cedric's at right back, Vinicius Junior's left wing, you might as well just forfeit the game. Like, come on. 6 out of 10, he played all right, but we need to sort out this squad depth. I mean, you think that one was bad. Wait until I talk about the left back. I mean, I was trying to be kind with Cedric. I've given him 6 out of 10. Apparently, Kivior's girlfriend is the twerk champion of the world, I believe. I mean, he's been playing like he's twerking for the last few games, to be honest. In fact, he might have been... I don't know. He ain't a left back. Let's just say that. He ain't a left back. In defense of Kivior, that boy ain't a left back. I'm telling you now, it's a mad one. It is a former champion. I'm telling you now, he got cooked last night, man, people. It was wild. It was... The first guy... Bakayoko's flicking the ball over his head. I'm like, oh, God, what's going on? They're scooping the ball over his head. Then Des comes on and flip-flaps it through his leg, and they're all on the bench going, oh! It was like an all-you-can-eat restaurant. Whose turn is it? What are you doing to him next? Are you nutmegging him? Are you flicking it over his head? Are we outpacing him? Listen, we got to start asking questions. £25 million. This was the guy that should have played when Saliba got injured last season and led us to the title, and they didn't trust him. They said, oh, no, he's not ready. No, he's not ready. So what did you buy him for? You paid 25 million for him. When Saliba got injured, you didn't trust him. And you played Ben White. And, you played Rob Holding. So what, is he good? Is he not? Is he a centre-back? Is he a left-back? Because at the moment, it looks like we just wasted 25 million on this guy. 4 out of 10, he got cooked. He got cooked. And I'm being kind giving him 4. That was... I know they was in Holland last night, but what was going on there was like red light district business. He got roasted. That was violence on the pitch. Scooping it over a man's head, nutmegging him. It's looking like 25 million down the drain. Maybe the Kiwi ain't ripe. Maybe it ain't ripe. Maybe it's rotten, people. Maybe we need to just bin it. Maybe, we're waiting for it to ripen. Maybe it's rotten. We just got to dash it. I don't know. It wasn't good. People said purple light settings, not red. Listen, he didn't cause a goal. He didn't, but he got cooked, bro. He got cooked, Zelda. It was serious. The Kiwi is sour. Let's go to the 2 centre-backs. Let's start with Saliba. Saliba. I don't know what he's doing on the first goal. Dives in, misses the ball. Sells himself there. You got to stand up and try and block it, really. Once you dive in, anything can happen. I do want to give him some credit. Makes a fantastic tackle. The one that Gabriel then went to lead clear off the line. I'll give Saliba a 6. I'm actually thinking, am I being too kind giving him a 6? I think he stops that goal. If that was in the Premier League, I'm probably having a meltdown. I think he saved a goal and then he kind of cost us a goal. I'm going to give him a 6. I'm going to give him a 6. I still think the tackle's outstanding. And I still think we can stop that goal even though he misses the clearance. I'm going to give him a 6. I feel I can't go any lower and any higher. Some of you look, some people are giving him an 8. Some people giving him a 5. That shows how split we are on the performance. I'm at a 6. I thought the tackle was outstanding. But then he misses the tackle that leads to the goal. So, not his best game. Let's go to Gabriel. Gabriel, for me, very similar. Misses the ball completely. He did the same thing in America against Man United. I couldn't believe it. Ball out of the air, goes to volley, it completely misses it. The only lucky thing for Gabriel is it didn't lead to a goal. So I'll give Gabby a 6 as well, to be fair. I'm tempted to give him more because I'm going to give Gabriel 6.5, and I tell you why, because his mistake didn't lead to a goal and his clearance off the line was absolutely outstanding in my opinion. I thought it was an outstanding clearance. I gave up. I thought it was a goal. I don't think either one of them were at their best last night, but you got Cedric the Entertainer and the Twerk Champion at left back. And you got Jorginho and El Neni double pivot in front of you. It's going to be a long night at the office. It's Pinky, and the brain. They weren't at their best last night. Cartoon Network settings, but for them, they were still decent. Here we go. Samuel's been nice to me for the last few months. Now he said El Neni has a better hairline than you. The slander is outrageous. I don't know how... Samuel, I keep telling you, unless my eyes are mistaken... You look bold in that picture. My hairline's better than yours. Relax. Well, thank you for your super chat, bro. I appreciate it. Samuel's been trying to do this to me for about a year with the banter, but, I appreciate the $5. But right back at you, bro. He's definitely got a better hairline than you. That's for certain. But big up Samuel. He's like the wild cousin from out of town that tries to cuss you. But I respect it. I'm here for it, people. Be easy, though, Samuel. Be easy. You know what I mean? We're hanging on. There's some baby hairs there, man. We're hanging on. There's a good decade left in that before we got to think about, maybe going Turkey or anything. But Turkey could do with a trip right now, Samuel. But big up yourself. Big up yourself, Samuel. Samuel, that hairline is like the double pivot we're about to talk about with Arsenal. Non-existent. El Neni and Jorginho, people. It's nearly 2024. El Neni and Jorginho. Wow. Things are crazy, aren't they, at Arsenal? Who would have thought in nearly 2024 you would see the double pivot? I'm just going to put them as a collective. I don't need to break them down. I'm just going to... They come as a pair. It's Laurel and Hardy. It's Del Boy and Rodney. It's Styles P and Jadakiss. It's Cam and Joel Santana. They come as a pair. You buy one, you get one free. 6 out of 10. It's as meaty as you can possibly get. Jorginho kept the ball sideways and backwards. El Neni ran around. He hit the post. 5.5. I'm going to give him 5.5. It's as average as you can possibly get. El Neni hit the post. Apart from that, there's not a lot. El Neni went down with cramp. He hasn't played in about 3 years. Them two need selling. Buy one, get one free. January sale. Just get rid. Get rid of both of them. But, yeah. Thank you for your effort last night, people. Look, now what you've started. Look, SG saying who's got a better hairline, Curtis or Jewett. It's outrageous. He had extensions. He had a horse's tail on his head. It's outrageous. But thank you for the super chat. Listen, we keep it moving. I think 5.5 out of 10 is kind. I wouldn't even sell them, to be honest. I don't know if anybody would want to buy them. They're both out of contract in the summer, so who's actually going to pay cash for them? You got to give them both away. It's charity shop. They're the dusty T-shirts in the back of your wardrobe that you're saving for a rainy day, but the reality is you're never going to wear them again. You've got to get the charity bag out and just dash them both away. Let's go to... Who we got next, people? Havertz! You're improving. I'm still not at the point where I'm not celebrating. I'm not sitting here going, oh, what a player. Because I'm seeing some people going, oh, we've really got a player now in Havertz. Relax. He's done all right. He's not ripping up trees. He ain't doing, what other players have been doing. But he's improving. He nutmegged a couple players. He made a few good runs. It was better. Lawrence saying Havertz is that guy. See, I wouldn't start going that far. He nutmegged a couple people. He made some good runs. I've written down 6.5. There was minimal end product. It's not like he had shots on goal, but he's tidier on the ball. Definitely. He's getting on the ball. He's making good runs. The crazy thing for Havertz is, as a team, we're actually playing bad at the moment. So it's hard for him to really look at his best because a lot of the players around him are not performing. So I give him 6.5. Some of you give him 7. Fair enough. I didn't think there was a great amount of end product from him. Couple nutmegs, couple good runs. But I would say calm down with us saying he's that guy. I don't think he's that guy. He's just improved. He's most improved player at the end of season awards. You was garbage, now you're playing half decent. Big up Chris Eddy, who's become a member on the channel. Really appreciate that, bro. Big up Fitz, here we go. The clip's getting let off here. You're saying we need to buy in the next window, but who is the idiot that not only bought these awful squad players, but continues to stick by average players? The truth is, Arteta is the problem. I mean, listen. You have a right to that opinion because the reality is your Cedrics, your Kiviors, your Jorginhos, these guys were all bought by Arteta. So some of the deadwood we need to get rid of was bought by the manager. So you're not wrong. You've come in with the clip, let off, shotgun settings, bow, bow, bow. You're right. I can't argue with your Fitz, but the reality is this. The manager ain't going nowhere, right? We know that. He'll probably get another contract soon. Wouldn't surprise me. So, if he's going to be here, he's got to spend more money. He's got to go again. And what we've got to do is just hope he gets more Gabriel kind of signings and, Declan Rice ones than the Cedrics and the Kiviors. He's just got to get right the things that he got wrong before, if you know what I mean. That's the only possibility, you know. The manager ain't going nowhere. So whilst I do agree with what you're saying, the club are not going to get rid of him. So yeah, we are where we are. Hey, SG, you better relax, you know, I'm telling you. You wait, people, you wait. Anyway, Fitz moving like Robocop, Murphy settings. Let's go to the front three. My man of the match for yesterday was Reiss Nelson, 7.5. Thought he ran his socks off. I thought he was a constant threat. He got the assist for Eddie Nketiah. Not easy with Cedric at right back. And he doesn't get enough game time for me. As I showed you at the start, most duels won on the pitch, most take-ons, most tackles, 1 assist, 2 chances created. I thought it was a solid performance. I'm not saying he's the answer on the right, but I think the manager needs to have a little bit more trust in him. For me, you know, in them games where Saka isn't performing or he looks knackered or injured, why is he not getting the last 20 minutes in games? Because I look at how direct and how quick he is, and I'm thinking if I was a left-back and for 70 minutes I've had to try and deal with Saka, and I see Nelson come on last 20 and he's running and running and running at me, I wouldn't like that if I was a left-back. So I don't think the manager trusts this guy enough. Man of the match for me. Man of the match, I thought he stood out. He was direct. And again, I always say it's not easy to stand out when you're playing with the B team. He would look 10 times better if Jesus was in the middle, if Tomiyasu was at right back, if Rice was in midfield, you know. So I'm not saying he's the answer. You know, I said when Arsenal offered him a new contract, and I think somebody just said it in one of the comments I clicked on. I said, I think Reiss is actually taking a big risk by staying at Arsenal. And I almost think he actually made the wrong decision. And I don't say things like this often. He was linked with Brighton, and I said at the time, I think Brighton's a fantastic move for Reiss Nelson. They've got a great training ground. They play very good football. He would have got game time. They're in Europe. I think him staying at Arsenal under Arteta was probably a mistake. I can't see him getting game time while Saka's on the right and we're being linked with other right wingers. But he's here. He needs to step up when he gets the opportunity. And I thought he did well yesterday. So I give him 7.5. So let's hope he gets more time. Sell Nelson in January. I don't think he's going. I think he was kept for the English quota, to be honest. I think that's part of it. Let's go to the other winger, Trossard. People last night were nicknaming him Drossard. I thought he had a stinker last night. Trossard has no middle ground in his performances. Some days he comes on, you're like, oh my God, this is like, you know, it's like a mix of Haleb and Arshavin and, you know, on that left-hand side, 2-footed, you think, what a player. And then other days you think, what the hell is this guy? You look at the grey hair and you think you're playing like you're 65 years of age. He's either 8, 9 out of 10 or 4, 5 out of 10. It was Drossard yesterday, people, in full effect. I think he's going to end up being a super sub. Bossard to Drossard, but no Trossard. Couldn't give a tossard. He was poor, man. He was poor. The right back just handled him. Just said, you ain't got the pace to run past me. You ain't got the strength to outmuscle me. He didn't have a trick. And then to make matters worse, he gets a clear opportunity in the last second to win the game. Hits it straight at the goalkeeper. It was a night to forget. I give him 4.5 because I gave Kivior a 4. And Kivior got absolutely roasted. So I'll give him 4.5, but he was bad. He was bad, man. He's going to end up as a sub at Arsenal and just an impact player. In pre-season, I was like, yo, maybe you got to get this guy in the team. Now I'm like, there's no rush to get him in the team. And I agree with that, you know, Yard Gunner. He didn't help Kivior. He didn't help Kivior. Is that his best position? False 9. We've seen him in the attacking midfield role. Struggled, got bullied. Seen him on the left. Seems to do better off the bench. Maybe that false 9 is his best position. He actually scored 2 in 2 when he played in that role. So maybe he should be challenging Gabriel Jesus to play up front. He's actually done well there. Eddie Nketiah. Let's finish with Eddie. Edward. Well, in terms of starting players, I'm going to try and speak some positivity and also some constructive criticism. I don't actually think Eddie played that well. I'm going to be totally honest. I don't think Eddie played that well. I watched back the extended highlights. He spent most of the game on the floor. He fell over about 10 times. But I've also got to say, and I'm a former striker myself, if you're a striker and you score, you've done your job. I know you need more than that as well. And it is a hard shift when Trossard's up there having a stinker. Havertz ain't really a creative player. Jorginho and El Neni are not going to pass the ball forward. It's a hard shift. I am going to give him a 7 because I do think it's a fantastic goal, by the way. I do. Take nothing away from him. On his left foot, edge of the box, bottom corner. It's a great finish. You know, people say you got an agenda against him. I genuinely don't. I want to see the young brother doing his thing. I just don't think he's good enough to play for Arsenal. But it is a great finish, and I give him that. First Champions League goal. It's a hard shift up front. His hold-up play and stuff like that is what isn't good enough for him. But I'm going to give him a 7. Important goal for him in his career. I mean, Danilo, in your picture there, you've got Nicholas Bentner. I think Bentner might have been better than him. But listen, I'm trying to be positive. Let me stop. 7 out of 10, Eddie. Good goal. First goal in the Champions League. We'll leave it at that. The bench. Who even came on? Oh. I'm just going to do this bench as a collective because I'll be honest with you. I can barely remember what most of these players did off the bench. The banana in the tailpipe. Beverly Hills Cop, the first one. Listen, growing up, Eddie Murphy films were my favourites. Coming to America, 1 and 2. Trading Places. Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2 and 3. Norbit, Delirious, Raw. All of them. We can have an Eddie Murphy stream one day if we want. Ben White, he did all right when he came on. Odegaard came on late. We'll talk briefly about the others. 48 hours and another 48 hours. Yep, watch both of them. So Smith Rowe, I applauded him when he came on. I think he gave the ball away the first time. But listen, it's not about last night for Smith Rowe. It's about can you stay fit for the next few games and the next few months. That's what he needs to do. Declan Rice came on at centre-back, which I couldn't believe, by the way. I'm like, Deckers, he's playing centre-back. What the hell's going on here? And he actually did all right. It's interesting that Arteta put out some quotes saying, we played him there in case of an emergency. So you're basically telling me now, if we get an injury at centre-back, you're going to play Declan Rice at centre-back. So what the hell does that say about Kivior? What does that say about Kivior? You're playing Kivior at left-back. Declan Rice played centre-back in his youth team days, by the way. But it don't say a lot about Kivior that Rice is going centre-back. So he goes there. And then Gabriel Jesus comes on for 2 minutes. Pointless substitution. Probably splitting his appearance fee with him. I don't know. I just briefly want to say something. I'm not going to talk about this for too long, by the way. Because I'm not saying it's the biggest issue. But I'm just briefly going to talk about it. So last night, Champions League, we've already qualified. We've won the group. You've got Walters, Souza and Nwaneri on the bench. 3 young players out of the youth team and they're on the bench. And I understand the flip side of the debate. Some people were saying, listen, number 1, fringe players need minutes. Cool, I understand that. Number 2, Arteta looked like he wanted to win the game. You know, with the substitutions he made towards the end of the match. It looked like he was going for the win. I get that. My biggest question is, in particular, what is the point bringing Gabriel Jesus on in the 88th minute of a game when he's had a knee injury, serious knee injury last season? He had a knee injury at the start of this season, which needed an operation. And then he pulled his hamstring away at Seville. Now, 2 minutes plus I think there was 6 minutes added on. So 8 minutes. Gabriel Jesus would have finished that game and gone, 8 minutes, so what? Don't mean nothing really to him. He hardly touched the ball. Those 8 minutes would have felt like gold dust to Nwaneri, to Souza, to Walters. Now I know I know we're not a charity. We're not supposed to just hand out game time. But these lads have obviously done something in training. You've taken them to the Champions League game. And I know, like I was saying, you can make about £2 million if you win the game rather than drawing it. But surely give that 8-9 minutes to Waneri or Sousa or Walters rather than giving it to Gabriel Jesus. I just think sometimes common sense, man. I just don't understand it. And listen, some people are saying it doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. I think it sends a great message to the HLM boys if they were at home watching the Champions League last night and they see Waneri come on for 8 minutes in the Champions League. I know they've got no divine right to just play and it's not a day out at the theme park, but I think it would have sent a great message. And I think Arteta's very stubborn with these young players. I think, we have to remember that it was Emery that brought through Saka and brought through Smith Rowe and signed Gabriel Martinelli. So would Arteta have brought these players through even? But you've got old guys like Cedric and El Neni and Jorginho running around. I'd rather see an 18-year-old that could be the future of the club. But here's what it is. And let's not harp on about it for too long. It's a little bit disappointing for me. I would have liked to have seen him get game time. Listen, we drew the game 1-1. It was a snore fest. I won't be watching it back. And I'm not going to be chasing the highlights to that game anytime soon. Big up Chris, who said 100% Curtis. What happened to Project Youth? Yeah, exactly. You want to see the next young player coming through. Waneri's getting mad minutes in my Football Manager. Give him game time. Because the problem is now, you look at it and you go, Premier League, they're not going to get a kick. FA Cup, we've got Liverpool. Unless maybe we beat Liverpool and get like a League 2 team in the next round, they're not going to get a kick. So it's a shame. It was a good opportunity, but here's what it is. New contract for Cedric, no chance. Let him get his contract elsewhere. Patience, their time will come like Saka. Yeah, I hear you, but when will it come? But here's what it is. Arteta trying to get Jesus injured so he can get Ivan Toney. Well, and Melvin said, Curtis, have you seen that Arsenal fan swallowing a potato after 2 bites? I haven't. I really haven't. I heard something about it, but I want Arsenal to win the league and the Champions League, not someone eating a potato. Our under-19s finished bottom of their group. All right, bond the youngsters then. Leave them. Anyway, let's move on. Listen, would it be a stream without saying his name? Forget Daily Dusan. Daily Dusan. It's we got to get another theme tune now. Ivan Toney. Yeah, they're eating potatoes, people. It's crazy, isn't it? It's Arsenal. Maybe that potato's part of the process. Potato. Maybe it was Edu on the barbecue. Ivan Toney. A big story came out again last night. And I almost have to apologise to the community every time I get into an Ivan Toney story because I just don't see it happening. So there's a real lack of enthusiasm for me to even have this conversation. However, I can't turn down the story in case it happens. As I always go back to, Ornstein was tweeting, Arsenal can't afford Nicolas Pepe. 7 days later, he was holding up an Arsenal shirt. So it's not always gospel. Story coming out, Arsenal will offer £60 million plus £5 million on a loan, obligation to buy. Initially, the story said 50 plus 5 with an option. Now it's saying 60 plus 5 as an obligation to buy him in the summer. I mean, listen, I've said it once and I've said it again. If you are Brentford, why would you let Ivan Toney leave on loan, even if there's an obligation to buy him? If I'm Brentford, I'm going to say, you want to buy Ivan Toney, do you? All right, cool. This is how much money we want from him. Oh, we ain't got the money. We can pay you in the summer. Okay, no problem. Sign him in the summer when you've got the money. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Why would they loan him to us for 6 months with no cash? I hope it's right, but I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I think Brentford would be insane to let their best player go on loan. We're turning up, trying to buy Snickers on Klarna. Yo, boss man, can I pay you 20p a month? No, you pay the 60p. They're probably not even 60p now with inflation. But I just don't see why it would happen. Now, the David Raya one's different. David Raya's contract was up in a year's time. So they knew they had no value left in him. So what they did, they said, right, I tell you what, if he signs a 1-year extension, we'll loan him to you. You pay us 3 million, you sign him for 27 at the end of it. Ivan Toney still has a year left this summer. So if you're Brentford, you say, right, he comes back from his ban, he plays until the summer, and you sell him for £65 million in the summer. It's a no-brainer. He's got a year left. So I just don't see how it happens. It's, why are we scrimping and scraping is what I want to know. We're Arsenal Football Club, one of the biggest clubs in the world. We make huge revenue every single week when we play at home. How on earth are we in a position that we can't go and buy this guy for 65 million? But we've thrown away 35 million on Fabio Vieira. We spent 65 on Havertz, who, let's be honest, okay, he's been better the last month, but we still need a lot more from him. We spent 25 million on Kivior. We've blown money on players rather than getting something that you really need. We clearly have not managed FFP well enough. Too many players have left this football club for little or no money. Mavropanos left for 3 million. He came back to the Prem for over 20 million. Guendouzi left for 9 million. Alexis went in a swap deal, and then Mkhitaryan left for 3. Ramsey left for 3. Socrates left for 3. Kolasinac left for 3. We should at least be picking up little 5 millions, 10 millions, 7 millions. We are such a bad selling club. Me personally, I would sacrifice a decent squad player in January to balance the books to get Ivan Toney. If Brentford turned round and said, listen, if you can produce 65, 70 million in January, we'll sell him to you direct. No Klarna, no foolishness. Yeah, Aubameyang left for free. If they said, look, you give us 60, 70 million in January and we'll sell him to you, I would sacrifice a decent squad player to get him through the door. And that, to me, is Eddie Nketiah, that's Emile Smith-Rowe, that's Fabio Vieira. I mean, I'm not sure Fabio Vieira would have that much value. I think ESR and Eddie, because they're English, they're young and they're internationals, I think there are clubs out there that would take them. ESR's been linked with West Ham and Newcastle. Those clubs would be able to pay decent money for him. And I think Eddie, as an England international striker, would still have some value to him as well. I would sell somebody to get him through the door. If you could get 30 million for Eddie or 35 million, something like that for ESR, and I am a fan of ESR, I would sacrifice those guys to get Toney in, because I think we're short. I don't think we're good enough up front. We'll see what the owners are about. We'll see what they're about, and if they're serious enough in January. Obligation to buy. What if Toney is pony? Sniper, every single player that you buy comes with that risk. Every player has that risk. Aubameyang was ripping it up in Germany. You could say, 65 million, what if he flops? Timo Werner was ripping up Germany and he flopped. Every player. You can say that about anyone. What if Osimhen flops? What if Osimhen flops, comes to the quicker league, more physical? People have to understand, Osimhen's injury prone, Why do you think he's wearing that mask all the time? He ain't doing it for fashion. Man mashed up his cheekbone. He's had injury problems with his legs as well. There's the same risk with every single player that you ever sign. They could flop. And that's the reality. Ivan Toney will be calling him if he flops. Toney would instantly be the most clinical finisher at the club, 100%. I actually think Toney would be a better goal scorer than Jesus. He's got the physical attributes. Every player could flop. But listen, again, I like the fact that the link is there, because it means maybe we are still trying to do something. And clearly, we have got a decent relationship with Brentford for the fact that the way they did the David Raya deal. But it is what it is. Salman said Mbappe's free revenue is peak. Well, you know how that one goes, Salman. The way we see it and the way Arsenal see it is them two things don't quite align, do they, And listen, ultimately, I think the biggest factor is Mbappe wouldn't want to come to Arsenal. That's the biggest thing. Even if we ever got to a point where we could afford him, I don't think he would want to come to us anyway. Toney is also physical, good in the air, and could also create. There's no guarantee he even comes to Arsenal and starts every week. There might be certain games where you say, right, we need that link-up play today of Jesus, or we want to play Trossard false nine, but it gives you brilliant options. People have to understand. Liverpool have got Darwin, Gakpo and Jota. Now, I'm not saying any of them three are elite. They're not. But what I'm saying is Darwin costs 70 million. Gakpo costs 35 million. Jota costs 40 million. Those three options are great rotational options for them. City have got Alvarez and Haaland. We need more than one striker at this football club. If you can't get a world-class number 9 like Haaland or Mbappe that's just going to lead the line for you every week, you might need 2 or 3 different options that are all very good in their own right. I think Toney would be a great option. I'm not saying he's world-class. I'm not saying he's the answer. I think there are bigger strikers out there, but they would be so expensive. Simon said the spanner in the works for the Toney transfer is Matthew Benham looking to sell the club. Oh, I didn't know about that. Let's have a look. Matthew Benham is businessman, owner of Brent. So he's looking to sell the club. So obviously, when you're looking to sell the club, basically, you don't want to sell your assets because your club is worth more with better players. So usually when an owner's trying to sell a club, their last thing they're going to do is sell one of their better players because the value of the club will diminish. You want to sell the club to somebody and say, look, we've got Ivan Toney. Listen, I'm not saying Darwin Núñez is some sort of top striker. What I was trying to get at is look at the amount of investment that Liverpool have pumped in since Firmino's left, because there's no direct answer. They haven't been able to just replace Firmino with one player and say, there we go, we've replaced him. So they've bought Jota, 40 million, who chips in with goals. They've bought Gakpo, 35. They've bought Darwin. I don't think Arsenal have been able to find a direct replacement for Aubameyang. I don't actually think Arteta wants a striker that plays like Aubameyang, who kind of played on the last defender, was just looking to score goals, didn't offer too much in the all-round game. So he's got Jesus, who's that very good link-up player. But I think you need that different plan and say, right, this is a different game today. This is physical. We're up against 2 beasts at centre-back. You look at Jesus on the weekend against Villa, he struggled. I think that's the kind of game where you need Ivan Toney or somebody in that mould. Sniper said, that does make me sad. Stan could fly to Mbappe's house, push a piece of paper over and say, write a figure to join Arsenal. Listen, the problem you've got, Mbappe turned down 8 million euros a week from Saudi. So it's not money because, you know, he ain't going to pay him 8 million. He wants Madrid. That's the problem. Curtis, we need some swag. Listen, I would love to have prime Aubameyang in this team now with Saka and Martinelli. But it is what it is. He's playing tomorrow night, actually, against Brighton, isn't he, in the Europa League. So hopefully he causes them problems because we got Brighton on the weekend. Ivan Toney links, but it is what it is. Would you sell Odegaard to get Toney? That's a great question. Again, I'm 50-50 on that because part of me is like, just get me the striker. But then the other part of me is like, if you get rid of Odegaard, who creates? Who even can create chances? I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Because then you've got to go and sign another creative player on top of that. So, no, I don't think you can. You need Toney to have Odegaard playing. Who creates the chances for us if Odegaard goes? Even though he's not in great form, you've seen that Fabio ain't going to be the guy. Smith Rowe's injured all the time. Havertz ain't a creative player, so you got to keep him. Odegaard's got great potential. You know, we saw that last season. This season, he hasn't been at it, though. He really hasn't. But yeah, Ivan Toney, we'll see what happens. I've got a feeling that will constantly pop up. Before we get out of here, we got to finish off with a little light waffle, people. He's back again, people. Mickey Roast, the boss. Coleman music. Rose, that's my nickname. He doesn't look too happy. I don't know why. We've just won the Champions League group. Lighten up a little bit. Imagine how the Young Bucks feel. They've travelled all the way to Eindhoven. They haven't had a kick. Let's see what he had to say. On his thoughts on the game, he said, yeah, top match. Top match, you know. Bro, I was struggling to stay awake. He said, we made 8 changes. There were good moments. There were moments we lacked the cohesion and timings, especially the way we pressed. Do you know what? I'm not even going to do that to you. The answer's too long, and it's making me tired already just staring at it. So I'm going to skip through it. He said, we could have won it with the chance of Leo and the goal that was disallowed. Yeah, we should have won with those chances, really. On why the younger players didn't feature. This will be interesting. He said, I don't think it was the right context. Making 8 changes, already to throw them in there against a team that hasn't lost here in almost 2 years. I didn't think it was the right moment. I went on to wait to see how the game developed, but it was too much for them as well. We have 3 little issues. We had to make the subs. Then we had no room because we really wanted to play a game as well. So it sounds like he would have only brought them on if we were winning comfortably or losing badly, you know, with it being so close. But, you know, I think El Neni had cramp. It's a politician's answer, really, isn't it? As I said, he could have brought them on. On how PSV have developed since our previous game, says very good. They've won every single game in the league. On Monday, we have the draw. Let's move on. On Declan Rice playing at centre-back, he said, we are very short at the back. I really wanted to try when something happens, how we are going to resolve the situation, and I think it was really good. I wish somebody would have said to him, why is Kivior not playing at centre-back then? You signed him as a £25 million centre-back, and you're playing him at left-back. Why did you not keep Kieran Toney at left-back as cover? You know? I don't want to see Declan Rice at centre-back. What's the midfield going to do if Partey's not there? On how our return to the Champions League has felt, he said, how long do we have? Wow, he really has written a long answer. I really like the approach of the team, like we had in Seville. Listen, the team did well in the group. Let's give the team a pat on the back. You've seen with Man United, you can fumble a group even if it looks easy. We won the group and we had a game to spare. So I do want to give him and the team some credit for the way we handled that Champions League group. On what made it difficult in the first half, he said, credit to them, the way they play, the creation and the timing of the ball. We weren't very clear. Let's just skip it. On Jesus and Smith Rowe coming on late, and if there was a temptation to bring on the younger players. Emil, we wanted to play him a little bit earlier. We were waiting because we had 2 players with niggles. I was asking them, can they continue? I was hesitant to make the change too early. Then I have 6 or 7 minutes with 10 men. I mean, he's totally avoided the Gabriel Jesus question. Again, I told you, this guy should be a politician. He'll tell you to vote Conservative, then knock down your housing estate. I'm convinced of it. On the experience for the younger players to be around the team, he said, great. They've been around the game and they are used to it. On there being 2 extra games in the group stages next year, he said, we'll see. We will have bigger squads. They're obviously extending the Champions League next year. And if you've seen enough for us to dream about winning the competition, he said, what I've seen is that we can compete. At this level, we came top of the group, which is important, especially the way we did it with a game in hand. We have to win game by game and arrive in February. He's definitely PR trained. He definitely is. On if Mose was a hamstring injury, he said, yeah, we don't know the extent, but he's done something. El Neni plays his first game in how long, gets injured. He'll probably get a new contract out of sympathy. On what Declan brings at centre-back, he's played there before. We have to try in case of emergency. I will have to make sure we can fill the gap in the right way. There you go. Vote Mickey for the new leader. I have a dream. We can win the Champions League with Cedric, El Neni, and Eddie Nketiah and Kivior. We'll get there. People, thank you very much for tuning in today. Really appreciate it. Great show as always. Let me read this final super chat from Matt Southern Goonart. He said, there's no reason we can't offer Reece Nelson and Eddie and offer cash for Toney. Yeah, listen, I think players like that, Brentford would take them. So if Arsenal get creative, we can still spend in January. This is where we will see, number 1, how much we can spend. Number 2, how good Edu is at doing his job. And number 3, the talent ID level of Mikel Arteta. I don't want to hear excuses in January. There's players that can get sold if you need to raise cash. So big up to Matt Southern Gooner. Make sure you go and follow his channel as well. Big up to everyone locking in today. Thank you very much. Make sure you like the video and subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow. What day is it tomorrow? Thursday. We don't play until Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow 2 p.m. as long as there's plenty of news to talk about. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all at 2 p.m. tomorrow, people. Bless.